Welcome back to Inside Games, the only gaming show on the internet brave enough to report on other gaming shows on the internet.
That's right. Yes, the Games Media Ouroboros is having an all-you-can-eat buffet today, as the official E3 account tweeted that the gaming event will return this year after last year's cancellation due to COVID.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Oh,
we were so worried.
Need those dry LA Convention Center tacos. They're so delicious.
More to the story, of course. Otherwise, we wouldn't have enough to talk about justify an episode. So let's talk about E3 like we do every single year.
Strap on your boots.
Yeah, it's always changing, though. It's evolving. Plus, we got to get to that 10-minute and 1-second cutoff. It's beautiful.
Lawrence, it's 8 minutes now. I don't know if you know the YouTube game.
Oh, that's right. 8 minutes and 1 second. Damn, why did I write so much? This news hits at a particularly volatile moment in E3's history, leaving us to wonder what the show will be like this year, not to mention for years to come.
The announcement itself seemed to be a response to rumors earlier in the week that the show would be all digital this year and charge money for entry somehow.
That rumor came courtesy of Video Games Chronicle, which bizarrely, they've completely rewritten their original report at this point.
That's a journalism no-no, yeah? Generally issue updates, you don't completely retract and change an article. Luckily we have the Wayback Machine, so we can still access the original report published on April 1st.
It claims that the ESA, that's the Entertainment Software Association, or the entity behind E3 as a show, was talking to NVIDIA to create a digital show floor that includes virtual booths with demos and merchandise.
Through this setup, the ESA would be able to sell premium access packages, maybe some sort of front-of-the-line digital pass in case there's a queue for streamed demos or exclusive merch access, something that I would have loved to experience in 1989. Lawrence, this whole thing sounds dumb as hell. But remember, hold on, that the ESA was already doing that in person, of course, and everyone seemed fine with it.
ESA was trying to change the show. So in recent years, the ESA has progressively opened E3 up. It's long been a closed industry event only for those working in the industry, people working in retail or in media or games publishers and stuff like that. But yeah, the ESA was increasingly opening it up to non-industry members.
And because the ESA is always in touch, they called them gamer badges, my least favorite word. So the intention was already there to turn E3 into a spectator show to increase revenues rather than the industry trade show it started as.
While it may feel like a vacation to spend hundreds of dollars on a gamer badge and fly to LA to wait in 2 lines to play a buggy 10-minute demo, doesn't really feel like it's all that much of a privilege when you're doing it online.
Luckily, all that online stuff actually isn't probably going to happen. The ESA responded directly to this report on Twitter, saying that E3's 2021 digital show is a free event for all attendees.
VGC's rewritten report now claims that the ESA has, quote, seemingly U-turned on plans to put some elements of its digital E3 2021 show behind a paywall, which kind of makes less sense given their original report included a statement from ESA saying that the show would be free in the first place.
They actually quote an ESA spokesperson saying, quote, "We've been hard at work to deliver a free experience for everyone interested in E3 2021, and we're excited to share further details soon."
It seems like VGC was reporting that the ESA was in talks and that it was theoretically going to happen. The usual internet game of fuzzy reporting and only reading the headline created the perception that it was going to happen, and they had to say that it wasn't, and now VGC has to sort of protect their reporting and saying that, well, they were going to do it, but now they're not, and it's just messy. God bless you, internet, for making this whole thing a thing.
It's not to imply everything's all hunky-dory in the world of E3, though.
So yeah, the show is transforming to a digital event this year, but that comes after years of missteps and growing dissatisfaction with the event from industry partners.
Yeah, the show's attendance had actually decreased in 2019, according to attendance numbers from IGN, and that's even with the ESA selling gamer badges directly to the public, as mentioned previously.
On top of the drop in attendance, some very big partners started to recognize that they could just market directly to consumers without paying the ESA for the privilege to do so.
In 2019, Electronic Arts withdrew from the show entirely, instead focusing on their EA Play event.
Yeah, and Sony, the biggest player in the console space right now, skipped E3 2019 entirely and announced in advance that they wouldn't be attending in 2020 all the way in January. That was way before the ESA even canceled the event, so they were just out saying, nah, no thank you.
Unsurprisingly, both EA and Sony are not in the list of announced industry partners for E3 2021, which actually includes Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, Take-Two Interactive, Warner Brothers, and Koch Media.
So if you think that means you'll be getting less of that sweet, sweet games marketing nectar, think again.
E3's cancellation last year created a games marketing vacuum that numerous outlets couldn't fill fast enough.
Admittedly, it is a really cushy position. You get paid from games publishers and stuff to promote the products that people already want to see, so you get the market draw while getting paid to market. It's that games media double dip that we all love so much.
Just for fun, let's run down the grip of new shows. We've got IGN's Summer of Gaming, the Guerrilla Collective piece. What the hell is the Guerrilla Collective?
That was that show that Greg Miller hosted.
Is that what it's called? PC Gamer's PC Gaming Show, Games Radar's Future Game Show, Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, and the New Game Plus Expo.
And those are just the third-party events. Publishers themselves are starting to follow EA's lead with EA Play and airing their own digital events.
Both Ubisoft and Devolver Digital hosted their own digital showcases in July 2020, Devolver being especially notable for both calling out the marketing as product nature of E3, but also creating a digital demo experience that's nearly exactly what's described in VGC's original report, minus the merch and paid access.
While there was already motion in the ocean to create marketing pipelines that ran alongside E3, but not necessarily through it, E3 2020's cancellation jump-started that whole thing.
All this context drives to the most important question: what will E3 2021 look like this year?
Format-wise, I think, Bruce, you and I can make some safe bets based on the nature of the production or COVID production. So we can likely, look to the showcases produced during quarantine last year for a good idea of what to expect here too. Sizzle reels and pre-produced video packages to announce new products with, talking head sort of treehouse style segments in between to discuss upcoming games with developers and influencers.
It's reasonable to expect that these events will bring free demos or other kinds of interactive first looks too.
Demo festivals came back in a big way on the PC in 2020. With multiple events bringing tens if not hundreds of smaller scale demos to the PC platform.
Steam ran an interesting limited time event in conjunction with the Game Awards in 2019, offering free playable demos that each were only available for 48 hours. That's cool.
Very easy to imagine the ESA seeing this and realizing they could probably charge people for limited access to the next Assassin's Creed, for example. And let's be honest, people would probably pay for that.
Which makes it easy to see a future where the ESA or some other entity, possibly the game publishers themselves, actually do charge money for demo access, especially if the demo itself is streaming over a service like Stadia or GeForce Now, meaning they don't have to worry about data mining or code leaking.
And as usual, this means that the future is exciting and scary at the same time. Would you pay cold hard cash to be one of the first people to play Elden Ring? Yes, you would be, and I would too. Let's not lie to ourselves here.
I don't think anybody in the comments is going to lie about that. Everybody would pay for Elden Ring, 100%.
People will say no on principle, and I get that. Like, this is something we should push against, but you can't push against what people want to pay for. That's just the market.
When it comes to games marketing, the larger question is, will the various participants choose E3 to show off their big guns, or will they save big announcements for their own events?
We've been in speculation for most of this. Just want to be clear, this is also huge speculation, but it seems that more and more games publishers are realizing that at least for their big properties, they don't need any business partners to pull attention to what they're doing.
Yeah, it seems going direct to the internet and allowing the fan base, which is us, of course, and allowing motivated fans to spread your message for free is vastly preferable to paying the ESA outrageous rates for floor space and ladders and chairs, and hiring an event production staff to administer demos in person.
For example, and this is happening right now, Capcom is leaning heavily into co-streams for a Resident Evil 8 Village showcase they have planned for April 15th, providing streamers with assets and information to enable them to, let's be honest, market the game.
Yeah, this also brings up an interesting point too. There's a lot of game companies that are like, we don't want you to stream our game, or like the copyright striking people on YouTube and stuff like that. And then they also want the influencers to, there's this push and pull of, well, how much do you want the audience to market your game? Some of the companies that have always sided with the influencers and with people that just play games on Twitch or whatever, Activision's one of them. They've always tried to be pretty cool about anybody playing COD. So there's a push and pull there that I don't know what the reckoning is, Lawrence, there for the influencers and for actually paying other marketers to do it. I'm not sure.
That whole setup only works because Resident Evil is a global franchise. If they wanted to do that with a new IP, they probably wouldn't see much enthusiasm, which is probably why they revealed Pragmata during a PlayStation showcase.
Yeah, we kind of expect a new open dynamic will emerge here. Events around games with worldwide brand power like Resident Evil, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty probably exist outside of the E3 type system, while gaming festivals will probably include newer announcements and smaller scale games that need the benefit of being associated with more popular brands.
Yeah, either way, the future will probably be a lot less focused and a lot less packed in than the past. We can't really see games marketing returning to a single focused event at this point.
Yeah, which is, in my opinion and your opinion, kind of a bummer. From the viewer perspective, it was fun to get a shotgun of huge announcements all in like 3 days. I think that was really fun.
Spreading it out a bit has benefits and drawbacks, but you're right. From the spectator perspective, from the fans' perspective, yeah, it was really cool. It was that Christmas morning sensation of just having all these toys to play with, but I can see how, spreading this out across the calendar year and in different events is better from the business perspective, and even from the media perspective, honestly, between you and I, Bruce. Like, covering everything in E3 was silly because no one had the time to watch everything. Everyone just went to the biggest names, which makes sense. But if you want to cover smaller games, it makes sense to give them a little air. So in a given week, there may be a new game announced, and as long as it's not during the first week of June, when E3 usually happens, it won't get pushed out of our coverage week too.
Lawrence, hear me out. Let's do this. Let's do an entire month of E3 where every hour of every day is a new video game that they reveal. What do you think?
Bruce, I agree. You and I should make our own E3. No one's thought of this, except the 7 other companies that already made an E3. Let's make our own E3.
We call it E4.